Greetings. This episode is going to be focused primarily on the 2024 election cycle, and I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Um, at this point, not even sure who I'm going to be voting for ultimately. Thought I knew once or twice, but things change. uh, People show you who they are, um, and you make adjustments. So right now, I'm as likely to write in Vermin Supreme as I am to vote for anybody who is announced at this point. All I know is that it's not going to be one of the duopoly candidates. That's a given. And if you're like me and you're not voting Republican or Democrat, or if you're thinking about stepping outside of the duopoly this time, first of all, thank you and welcome to the club. And secondly, there are some things you should be prepared for because, damn, they're going to come at you. So let's get into that. First off, don't vote against anybody or anything. You're voting for someone you think can do the job and will be representing your issues and your concerns. You're voting for somebody. You're not voting against anything. If you're not voting for someone you think is capable and want to be there in that office representing you, you're doing it wrong. That's not what voting is about. That's not what democracy looks like. If somebody tells you you have to vote to save democracy, as if we have one to be saved, or you have to vote for one party because the other party is bad, they're not they're not interested in what issues are important to you. They're not interested in you having representation in our government. They just want their team to win, period. So remember that. If somebody tries to sway your vote based on strategic voting, based on making sure one side or the other doesn't win, they're not serious. It's a game to them. They're not giving you good advice. So don't listen to those people. Another thing they're going to say is that we have a two-party system. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it's always going to be. There's nothing you can do about it. So you have to vote for one or the other. And that is complete bullshit. That's nonsense. Neither Republicans nor Democrats are entitled to a single vote. That's not how it works. That's how they want you to think it works, because that way you will never try to change it, and they like it just the way it is. So if somebody tells you you have to vote red or blue, and that's just the way it is, tell them to go fuck themselves, because because that's not how it works. What the duopoly never had can't be taken from them. Whenever you see a news report or you're talking to somebody and they say, but if you vote for, say, the Green Party, that's just a vote taken away from the Democrats. I've voted for the Green Party presidential candidate in every election since the 1980s. It never took a vote from the Democrats because the Democrats never had that vote to begin with. You can't take something away that they never had. That that's how it works. That's reality. What they're trying to do is use guilt or some other kind of manipulation to get you back into the duopoly, to get you back within the guardrails of this messed up system we've got. It's not a thing. People who vote independent and third party are generally doing so because the duopoly isn't offering them anything. It's insufficient. It's not working. They were never going to vote Democrat or Republican anyway. It's a lie that the media tells you that those votes are, libertarians take votes away from Republicans. Greens take votes away from Democrats. No, bullshit. I'm not saying there's never a case where somebody would have voted one of the major parties and decided at the last minute or whatever that, nah, actually, I think this time I'll go third party, I'll go independent. I'm not saying that never happens, but as a general rule, if somebody who's not already captured by the two-party false dichotomy and votes independent third party, we're going to do that no matter what. The reason people vote outside the duopoly is because they can't stand either of the candidates in the duopoly. They were never going to get those votes. So just realize that that is also bullshit. Math is math. If they tell you, well, if you vote for the Green candidate, you might as well be voting for Trump, that is nonsense. That's not how voting works. That's not how math works. That's not how any of this works. A vote in the Green Party bucket doesn't magically disappear and reappear in the Republican bucket. That's not a thing. That is just another manipulation. It's another lie that they tell you. They're trying to nudge you back into acting the way the establishment prefers. Tell them to go fuck themselves. Vote for the Green Party is a vote for the Green Party. Tally one for the Green Party. It doesn't affect the other tallies one way or the other. Sorry, it just doesn't. And untruths and misdirections. Well, we've already talked about some of them tangentially. But they're going to use vague statements like, democracy is on the ballot, that it doesn't actually mean anything. It's just an appeal to emotion. It's meant to scare you. It's meant to force you to stop thinking and simply react. Preferably react in the way they want you to, but the main goal is to get you to stop thinking about anything else and just panic vote. Because people who are doing that are generally easier to maneuver, to point in the direction you want them to go. So don't listen to that stuff. It is nonsense, to put it in the most diplomatic way that I can think of. They will they will tell you that they'll use the circular reasoning that you shouldn't vote for third parties because third parties never win. But why do they never win? Because people don't vote for them. Round and around and around and around you go. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You never vote for third parties because third parties never win because nobody votes for third parties. It's a loop. And it's by design. The media, Republicans and Democrats, everybody who's invested in the status quo will tell you at the top of their lungs, nonstop, day and night, it's a two-party system. That's just the way it is. You have to vote for one of the two parties. And that's simply not true. And if enough people refused to do that, it would change, wouldn't it? It would change like that. So I would encourage as many people as can free themselves of the constrictions of the two-party system to please vote independent third party. Write somebody in. Electoral politics doesn't really mean that much in this country. I don't know if you've heard that yet, but it's kind of true. There was a study years ago, and it's only gotten worse since, that showed that what voters want, what they prefer in the way of policy and laws doesn't matter. It's the moneyed interests. It's the lobbyists and the big business influences. Those are the people whose wants and preferences actually get reflected in the legislation that shows up on the floor for a vote, whether or not it passes. The people don't have any say in that whatsoever. I mean, you can just look at policies like universal health care, things like that, where there's overwhelming support in the populace for these things, and somehow Congress can never quite manage to even bring them up for a vote, much less pass them. The will of the people is incidental. The only time it comes into play is during the public relations phase, the messaging, the bullshit. They will grudgingly admit that people feel a certain way about, a certain policy or law, but then they turn around and disregard it and do whatever their donors want them to anyway, because of course they do. We've got to break out of this pattern. We've got to stop doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. It's never going to work. It's just not. That's one definition of insanity. We need to stop being crazy. We need to get real. Transcend the duopoly. Send them the message that enough is enough and we're tired of the bullshit. Things need to change. We need fundamental change, not incremental barely registering change. We need fundamental, radical change. Only one way to get it, and that's to stop electing these idiots who sell us out every day. And I think that will probably cover that for today. Now, as far as the current situation, and it's a bit fluid this time, isn't it? By the time I make this video, one candidate will have switched parties. 3 more will have said or tweeted something horrendous that changes the map. 1 or 2 more people may have joined, may have announced that they're running. I mean, it's that kind of cycle. It's madness. But I will say that RFK Jr., I was aware of his stance on the COVID issue when he announced that he was running. For a moment, I was intrigued, but then I realized, oh, he's running as a Democrat, so that was the end of that. I know he says he's going to be independent now, or he's going to make an announcement soon, whatever. But in the interim, I've learned a few things, like his stance on Israel, which for me was a deal breaker all by itself. So I will not be voting for RFK Jr. I hate to even bring this one up. Cornel West. I had such hopes. I still love the man, still love Brother West, but he's not the one for me. It's just been an accumulation of things that at first worried me, and now I can't ignore. I mean, going the hopscotch of running as People Party and then Green Party, now independent, that alone is concerning. To me, at least, it just shows a lack of planning, a lack of forethought, a lack of organization. Um, I mean, all by itself, not necessarily a deal breaker, but something that would need to be addressed before I would put my trust in somebody like that in a position like the President of the United States. Now, when you add on to it hiring Peter Dow, it doesn't matter to me if his conversion from the dark side back in the Hillary days, and yeah, I remember those. Doesn't matter to me if his awakening is real. That's not the issue. I hope it is. More power to him. Good. But the things he did, the way he did them, and until very recently was still pretty much a Democrat operative. He was working for Democrat campaigns. To suddenly put him in charge of a campaign like Cornel West's in the Green Party, they should have known that that was going to be a major problem for a lot of his supporters, for a lot of Cornel West supporters. That was a known goal. That was an unforced error. And again, doesn't look good as far as the campaign's ability to read the room, to know its its constituency, and when you add it with the flip flopping on the party thing, it just it doesn't instill confidence. Let me put it that way. Uh, and now we've got the initial response from Cornel West to the catastrophe in Israel and Palestine. Uh, the kind of both siderism that he was using. I don't think he's the one either. I wanted to vote for him. I really did. Um, I wanted it pretty badly, but I don't think I can. Now that he's out of the Greens, maybe they will nominate somebody. You know, if it's another Howie Hawkins, um, I probably can't go there either. Uh, I've heard or seen musings that um, Jill Stein may run again, which ordinarily would make me very happy. I voted for her already before when she ran. So, hey, great. Except she's apparently the one who brought Dow into the West campaign, which makes me think, what the entire fuck is going on with Jill Stein? So, I don't know. Um, this might be the year that I write in Vermin Supreme. I mean, what's not to like? Free ponies? You gotta give it to the man. He knows how to wear a boot on his head. Uh, this might be the year that I am a Vermin Supreme supporter. For real. Not just to have fun on the internet in the midst of all the chaos of an election. But might actually write him in this time. Because why not? Given given the other choices, why the hell not? But I don't know. Um, it's going to be wild. Um, the situation, if it keeps changing at the pace that it has been, I mean, who knows where we'll be in a week or a month. The election's a freaking year away. That's kind of insane to think about. If things stay in this much turmoil the entire time, um, it, it's impossible to even imagine what the map will look like by the time the elections actually roll around. But I guess we'll see. Should be interesting, if nothing else. Never a dull moment. So that'll be fun. Hope you'll enjoy it as much as I'm pretty sure I will. Have a good one. See you next time.